Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Hey friend, hope you had a nice weekend. If not, let's talk about it. This is New Life Live, and I'm your host, Brian Perez. We'll be in the studio for 2 hours today. We would love to hear from you. 1-800-229-3000 is the number. We can talk about addiction or your marriage or an addiction that's wreaking havoc in your marriage. 1-800-229-3000. We've got clinical psychologist Dr. Alice Benton here, along with licensed marriage and family therapist Marc Cameron. Mark, what is on your mind to get things started?
Today I want to talk about what's a healthy frequency for a couple to have sex. Okay, now I just got everyone's attention here. All right, so now this is a common question in couples therapy. But when somebody asks me how often should we be having sex, there's often more than wanting to just know the numbers or the frequency. Usually what they're saying is, I think my wife's withholding and that's unfair, or I think my husband's sex drive is out of control. Now, we all have a biological sex drive, and that varies by individual. So instead of defining what's normal, I like to begin with what's each partner's desired frequency, and is that within a typical healthy range? Now, some people naturally have a higher sex drive than others, and that can vary by gender. But with the constant stream of sexual content that we have in our culture today, many men have inflated their expectations for sex by overfeeding their appetites for porn, and that distorts their view of what real intimacy is, which is more than just sex. But having said that, on the other hand, if your sex drive feels non-existent, it also might be time to reflect upon, what emotional or biological shifts are you undergoing, or is there unresolved trauma, disconnection, or stress affecting you? Now, the most common dynamic within a marriage between a couple is a husband wanting more frequent sex and a wife pulling away. But that is often because of a mismatch in desire levels, because a man's drive tends to be more physically oriented, and it's pretty much constant, and that doesn't change based on the emotional environment. But a woman's sex drive tends to be more emotional, increasing when they feel secure, known, and connected in the relationship. And so the breakdown typically occurs when a husband wants more frequent sex without pursuing emotional intimacy. Now, differences in sex drives are normal, but talking honestly about those differences tend to be less common, because conversations about sex trigger shame, fear, resentment, or blame. And so people tend to either avoid it, they accuse the other person, and some people just silently go along with it, pretending not talking about the things that they're not comfortable with. But healthy sexual relationships are built on openness and good faith negotiation, not silent suffering. So whether it's unresolved sexual trauma, porn use, a medical issue, biological change, or emotional distancing, sex is a couple's issue. It's a both-person issue. Now, I recognize many people have been wounded, and they might be resistant to this next statement that I'm going to say. But if your spouse is struggling in one of these areas, don't expect them to fix it alone. That mindset isolates rather than heals. Now, I'm not saying that there's no personal accountability. There absolutely should be personal accountability. But true healing requires both people to be engaged. I'm not saying for one to police the other, but to understand struggles and offer support. And that takes a willingness to engage in a conversation. So what is the answer then? Here's the answer. If sex is a struggle, learn how to do a comfort circle. That's a structured conversation where you take turns really listening to understand your spouse's pain. So you can ask these 3 questions. What helps each of us feel emotionally safe and sexually open? Are there any unresolved wounds, habits, or patterns getting in the way? And how can we become allies rather than adversaries in healing and growing together? Now, so the right amount of sex is the frequency that brings mutual satisfaction, emotional safety, and a sense of intimacy, not obligation.
Good opening thoughts here from Marc Cameron on New Life Live, and we'll be back with your questions in just a moment.
The Life Recovery Conference is online Saturday, October 4th. It isn't just for those struggling with addiction. It's for anyone ready to break free from destructive patterns and build a foundation for lasting change. Our expert speakers will equip you with biblical tools to face life's toughest challenges and find real transformation. You'll walk away with practical strategies to overcome anxiety, shame, and relational struggles, plus biblical wisdom for grief, finances, and identity. You'll also gain tools to recognize unhealthy patterns and clear action steps to choose wisdom every day. The Life Recovery Conference is for everyone. Whether you're just beginning your journey, looking for fresh tools, supporting a loved one, or leading others, you'll find hope, direction, and encouragement. Change starts with one step. Register today for the Choosing Wisdom New Life Recovery Conference at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We love that you're watching New Life Live today or listening on radio or podcast, but we've got another way to get helpful advice, and that's through our blog. Lots of helpful articles for you to read there on a variety of topics, including the ones you hear about on the show. Just click the blog link in the footer at newlife.com. That word blog, it's always such a funny word, blog. I don't know why. I just always considered it funny.
Me too.
Yeah, have you? Yeah. 1-800-229-3000 is our number. Alice, I think you wanted to make a quick comment on what Mark mentioned at the beginning.
Well, it's an invitation to the women listening. Perhaps you find yourself in that resistant, withdrawn role when it comes to sexual intimacy in your marriage. And maybe you feel misunderstood or judged because biblically verses can be thrown at you that you should be sexually active with your husband. And so I encourage you to consider, has there been unaddressed hurt or disappointment in your marriage that you might be willing to bring to your husband's attention? Because that can be a legitimate reason why you're holding back. But have you brought it into the light of relationship with him? Has there been unaddressed porn use that you may have been against but didn't know you could speak against? Because I think we have been really taught, and the culture seems to say, but this is just normal, all men do it, and so ladies don't really speak up. Maybe you were even involved in it as well early in the marriage, trying to help spice things up. And lastly, are you just spread too thin? Because we wives and mothers have a habit of doing too much for too many people, and we deplete ourselves. And it's hard to be physically intimate when we are completely depleted and exhausted. So please think about those things for the sake of your marriage and your family. Perhaps those need attention.
Good stuff. All right, let's go to the phones now. 1-800-229-3000. We're going to begin with Kurt in San Francisco, who is a Club New Life member. Hi there, Kurt. Thank you for calling in to New Life Live, and thanks for being a Club New Life member, too.
Good morning, and thank you for taking my call.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a special shout-out to Alice, who was our counselor at a couple of New Life intensives that we attended a number of years ago. So we really appreciated your wisdom, Alice, and pleased to be able to speak to you now.
Oh, great to have you on the show.
So this is a situation. We have a 35-year-old daughter whose 7-year marriage ended due to her adultery with a married man. And this followed multiple relationships with men, sequential relationships. She is currently attending Celebrate Recovery for the last year and a half, and she disclosed to us that her therapist told her that she does have a sexual addiction and that she needs to kill that addiction before it kills her. And we've also noticed that she drinks excessively, so we think that's another addiction. And over the years, she has just craved the attention of men, and that since she was, say, 17 years old. So it seems to my wife and myself that she is not really in recovery. And she's now moved in with this man she had the affair with, despite an on and off relationship with him. We have not met him, and frankly, we've had no desire to meet him. But now we're faced with having to attend an event where they will be attending, and they're in Central California. We're in Northern California. Initially we invited them to stay in the house, but we just feel like we are not ready to have that man in our house. So the question is, for you, we just need help with wisdom and how we can help our daughter, because we feel like this man is not, he's enabling her addictions.
Alice?
Kurt, is that invitation still out there for him to come over to your home?
It's not. We rescinded the invitation, which, as you can imagine, did not go over well.
This is so complex, multi-layered, and difficult to know how best to protect relationship with your daughter while also balancing how to live by your values and not enable or co-sign what she is doing. When you rescinded the event at that time, at the invitation, at that time or at another time, were you and your wife able to speak truth about how you oppose what she's doing in this relationship, and how did that conversation go?
Well, actually, she was overseas, actually returning today when we. This was through a text conversation. So we are hoping this week to have a conversation with her, and we'd really just like to find out how she thinks she's doing in recovery. And because this event that we're going to see them both at is next weekend.
And so you have not yet had a full enough conversation with her sharing your stance. Is that right?
Correct.
But you plan to.
That's correct, yes.
And you're going to attend the event anyhow, knowing you'll be in the same place with her and this man. What do you and your wife hope will happen when it comes to things like, do you plan to be friendly with him, to shake his hand? Do you plan to just be polite but not have further conversation? Where do you want to go with this?
Well, good question. I even feel uncomfortable shaking his hand, but we had talked about getting together with them before the event, and ideally, we'd like to just sit down with him out of earshot of my daughter and talk to him and say, we have these concerns about her drinking, and what are you doing to help our daughter with this addiction? And even ask him if he's aware of it. Maybe he's got the same addiction. We know very little about him, so it's hard to know where he is with that.
Yeah, I think you have to decide, like what Alice is saying, what level of relationship you want with him, because I think the moment you sit down with him and you say to him, well, what are you doing to help her? You're starting to include him as a partner with you in helping her into recovery. And that's going to be difficult then if you're including him as a partner to say, but we don't really want to have a whole lot to do with you. So you're going to have to balance that out. Now, I think it makes sense that there's no real moral right or wrong here. I don't think in the sense of whether she should maintain a relationship with him, but it's complex because, as a result of this affair, it's broken two families apart, and there's a lot of hurt in there. So, of course, if she wants to continue in that relationship, then the consequence of that is people are going to be resentful and they're going to be hurt, and every time they see them together, it's going to be a reminder of the breakdown of the relationship. That's a natural consequence. So I don't necessarily think it's a good idea for her to continue in relationship, and I think you have the ability to be able to express that opinion to her and say, hey, listen, if you're going to maintain this relationship, like there's a lot of hurt on this end. So, if your expectation is we just move all of that aside and get over it, that's not reality. So that could be some level of feedback that you give to her. But I mean, if you're in addiction, you think like an addict, it's very short-term thinking. You're usually resistant. You don't want to give up the thing that you are craving for or that is enabling you. So you might have better ground really by opening yourself up for feedback, and I know that might be a little strange, me saying that, but what do you think caused her to have this craving for men?
Well, that's a very good question. And that's something I've asked myself, or we've wondered about. Did she not get enough love from me as her father? So we don't know, but we certainly do feel we need to speak to her and impress upon her the fact that her actions have consequences that extend throughout the family. She has a sister who's about to have a child, and her firstborn child, our first granddaughter, and so it's going to be an awkward situation in terms of
So the challenge though
gathering.
is having a listening ear from her. So that's where I think you might want to start with just opening yourself up for feedback and say, hey, listen, I've been thinking about, reflecting upon, what I could have done better as a parent. And I just want to hear that from you. What could I have done? So set yourself up to be able to receive feedback first, and I would just have that be a separate conversation, because then when you start to build trust, then you can say, hey, we love you, we care about you. When you give a message, even if it's challenging, she is more likely, and again, we don't know where she's at in her recovery or how it will go, but she's more likely to be able to receive it from you.
Right. All right.
Kurt,
Good advice.
I would add to that, again, figuring out the level of interaction you're willing to start having with him. And if I were in your shoes, I don't think I would be ready yet. But I also wouldn't make a final statement about it. So instead, I think I might start with, we're not yet ready to interact with him because of how this has hurt our son-in-law, and we still feel a loyalty to our son-in-law. So we that may change at a later date, but at this point, we're not yet ready. So if we cross paths, we'll be polite but brief, and we will not stay to interact. Not until the dust has settled and we figured out what to do next. We really don't know what to do. We're uncertain because we love you. We want relationship with people that are important to you, but there's still a lot of hurt here. And then I would consider engaging an interventionist, because there are big signs that your daughter is she's got one foot in recovery. She is going to CR. She's speaking with a therapist. These are praiseworthy things. And yet she's still engaging in very destructive behavior. And so having an interventionist who can know more of the details and better direct and prepare you with what to say when, I think this situation merits that level of intervention.
I think we'll send you a copy of... go ahead, Kurt.
Question about... Because I had brought that up with my wife about an intervention. And the question is, how do you do that if they are not willing to go along with it?
They're almost never willing to go along with it, and that's kind of the point.
Right.
The interventionist plans with you and your wife and probably some other family members. What will you do to best love her, support her, but not enable her when she's not willing to let go of this lifestyle? Because you do have influence over her, but limited control, if any control. And so that's exactly what the interventionist helps you find, the line that you can walk with your daughter of offering, inviting, asking, but not controlling.
Yeah, you can't force her to do anything. You're not going to be able to force her to go along to rehab. But just know that, she's not willing. That may create more resistance toward you. So that's where I recommend also make sure that you set up that she knows that you love her and that you care about her, and that's the place that it's coming from. Because if it doesn't go well, the hope is in the future when she looks back at it, she can see that it was done out of love.
What would you also suggest to Kurt? Because if he has this conversation with his daughter, is there something I did wrong when you were growing up? And for him to not have some kind of a complex after that where he's going to blame himself for these different things.
I think it's important that all of us parents recognize, of course, we're imperfect. So even when we did our best efforts, we still fell short. We still hurt our children. So just this ongoing willingness to recognize I did things as a parent that hurt my child, rubbed them wrong, and influenced them in the opposite direction sometimes of where I wanted them to go. This is just the human condition, and we're all in that together. But the willingness to be a listener, to face it and then to make amends where possible. That's what brings the healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you do that, you model healthy connection, healthy repair with someone, and really all addictions are born from an inability to be able to manage, an emotional tension on the inside, and so we act out in a non-relational way. But when you can learn, how do I bring tension, hurt, stress into a relationship and manage it in that way, you end up not needing these non-relational things.
All right, Kurt, thanks for calling in today. We're going to send you a copy of Doing Life with Your Adult Children by Dr. Jim Burns. And we're going to be in the studio for 2 hours today, so give us a call at 1-800-229-3000. If you've got a relationship issue or some kind of trauma that you're going through, we would love to try to help you through that. We've got Dr. Alice Benton and Marc Cameron here for 2 hours, so grab an open line if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. The number's right there on the bottom of your screen. So call in. We'd love to hear from you today here at New Life Live. 1-800-229-3000.
Nobody gets married thinking that they're going to get divorced, yet there are so many people that experience divorce. How do we get through it? It can feel like it's the end of your story, but we also know that life goes on. So how do we get the healing that we need?
The Moving Forward Hope After Divorce webinar is Thursday evening, October 16th.
The live session will offer recovery tips like how to process grief in a healthy biblical way, practical steps for emotional healing after divorce, how to set healthy boundaries. This session is for anyone who's separated, divorced, or still navigating the long-term impact of divorce. Maybe you've been divorced for many years and you're still holding on to that resentment.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go online to newlife.com.
It's not information, it's an invitation to heal, to hope, to rebuild, to trust that God has more for your story.
Start your new chapter today. 1-800-NEW-LIFE, 1-800-639-5433. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Quiz time. What you doing this Saturday? I'm attending New Life's Choosing Wisdom online conference. Yes, you win. That's the only right answer. The prize is wisdom, something we all need. From 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central on October 4th, you'll get 5 hours of wisdom from 12 experts, all Christian counselors and coaches in our network, including some New Life Live co-hosts.
I'll be there.
She'll be there. Topics include anxiety, trauma, grief, shame, narcissism, difficulty in relationship, and so much more. You can get all the details and register at newlife.com. And if you've got a question for us today on the show, 1-800-229-3000 is our number. Let's go to Linda, who is listening on the New Life app in Thousand Oaks. Linda's also a Club New Life member. Thank you, Linda, for supporting New Life. How can we help you today?
Hi, my pleasure. So happy to support. My question today is, what is my obligation to a sister who refuses to take care of herself? And to be honest, I'm hoping you'll tell me it's okay to accept her decisions even if she could die.
That's what she said?
No, that's what Linda's hoping that we tell her.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, at least we know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us?
Don't do that.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your sister's situation and why you feel obligated to her?
Okay. So she's 63. I'm older than she is. She told me when she was 4, she saw the way my dad treated me and swore she would never let him treat her that way. So she became a rebel from, tiny when she was 4. So 13 years old, she starts using drugs, and her life just goes on and on. She's been addicted to meth and I don't know what. She's got 4 kids she has no relationship with. She was homeless for about 12 years. And so starting in about 2010, 2011, she was actually walking on the sidewalk in 2019, got hit by a car, and she was hurt pretty badly. She got $1 million settlement, of which she got $750,000, which she ran through in about a year. And the last part of her money, she bought 5 acres of unimproved property in Oregon, and it's pretty bad. But anyway, so she's had, friends, and I use that term loosely, stay with her, and they all abandoned her. And so about a year ago, she was left there, and she practically died. She was sitting in her own, filth, no water, no food. She was just lucky that somebody found her and, got her into the hospital in time. So she was in the hospital. And then she's now been in a homeless shelter, but she can only be there for a year, which I think is going to be up in February. And I gave her a phone. I'm paying for a phone. Our father passed away about a year ago, so she'll get some inheritance, not a lot. And I gave her my father's laptop so that she could, get some stuff going for herself with all the resources she has at the homeless shelter. And she hasn't done anything. And her answer is just to go back to her property. There are a couple of older people also living there that she thinks will take care of her, but she's just putting herself right back into the same situation she was in, except now, while she was in the hospital, other people came in that knew she was gone, and it's totally stripped it of copper wiring, any kind of plumbing. I mean, there is nothing there. She was... When they found her a year ago, she has no heat. They found her a year ago. She was
Linda,
in a broken down motorhome with an umbrella inside her motorhome.
What a disaster! And that's what she's returning to.
Yeah.
As the year in the homeless shelter comes to an end, what is she asking of you?
Nothing. She doesn't ask me for advice. She doesn't ask me what should I do, and so that's why. Big sister wants to jump in and say, you should this and this and this, but she doesn't do that.
So you want to give her advice. What else do you feel inclined to do to help her, even though you want us to tell you to not help her? What do you feel inclined to do?
There's a part of me that just wants to scoop her up and just totally take care of her, but she is of sound mind, and she's a very headstrong person. She's very stubborn. It's just so difficult to watch her live her life. But she's not. Anything I offer her, she'll take, but she won't put anything together for herself.
It is one of the worst pains to watch someone we love choose their own destruction. And I think God feels that way about all of us so much of the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know that scooping her up and rescuing her, it would go against her will, and it would be a temporary Band-Aid, and it probably would not help her out long term. And so a couple of things that I think are your obligation to your sister are to have an outlet for your own desire to rescue, your frustration and your fatigue and grief. You've been watching your sister deteriorate, almost die, for practically your entire life. And I want to make sure you're receiving comfort from that, because we make better decisions out of comfort and a full emotional tank than out of our own desperation and fear and panic for someone we love. And so I want to find out if you have that. And then I'm sure you're already asking God, what do you want me to do for her? And for an active addict, it is almost always, I will take you to treatment, I will pay for treatment, I will go to groups with you if you'll ever go. That's what I'm willing to do. And if you're not willing to do those things, I'll wait and pray and fast for you, and then let me know if you ever change your mind.
Linda, stay on the phone. We've got to take a break. We'll hear also what Marc Cameron has to say to you, and everyone else call in. We're going to be here for 2 hours.
I became aware that my husband had had an affair. He was viewing porn on the computer. I was totally unaware of anything like sex addiction. Through the workshop, I truly believe my soul has been restored. The workshop educated me about what sex addiction was. It also gave me courage. I learned how to stand up for myself. Without a doubt, it was the most significant thing that I did.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 7th to the 9th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
That workshop is where I found the tools and the people to heal from this most heartbreaking thing of my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
And let's go back to Linda in Thousand Oaks. Mark, did you have any thoughts for Linda?
Yeah, I think what Alice said is really good here, Linda. I mean, your sister's, she's just like a helpless little girl on the inside. She doesn't know how to take care of herself, but she's self-destructive. So the more you keep on doing stuff for her, the more she's, as soon as you take your hand away, as soon as you remove the guardrails, she's just going to implode, it sounds like. I like what Alice said about paying for treatment. One of the things you might want to do, and I think Alice alluded to this, is pay for therapy or go to therapy with her, because maybe there's some shared experience that you had growing up together that you might be able to give some input to, or as she sees you make sense of it or heal, that might help her open up and heal too.
And I had a family member who was caught up in an addictive lifestyle for years. And my mother fasted and prayed for that family member for probably about 20 years. And he returned to sobriety. He returned to faith. So we can't underestimate the value of spiritual intervention and getting yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually healthy so that when she does ask you for something, you are prepared and you've practiced it with a therapist in your group. That's really the best setup to be there when she hits bottom low enough to perhaps want advice or want your help. But unsolicited advice, it really is just a setup, both for her to get angry and pull away from you even more, and then for you to get upset when she won't follow your good advice.
Linda, thanks for calling in today to New Life Live. We're going to send you a copy of Take Your Life Back from the newlife.com store. And when you financially support New Life with a gift of any amount, your support allows wounds to be healed, broken lives and families to be restored, and souls battling addiction to find a pathway forward, illuminated by the light of Jesus. Every day we come alongside people in crisis, offering not just good advice, but also a path to real healing. With your support, New Life connects people to biblically based truth, compassionate counsel, and practical tools that lead to lasting change. And whether or not you've ever called in to New Life Live, I know you've benefited from the advice you've heard. Would you please consider making a financial gift so that we can continue doing what the Lord's entrusted us to do? Whether it's your first time or your first time in a long time, we sure do appreciate when you come alongside us. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, text NLM to 28950, or donate at newlife.com. And as always, God bless you for whatever you can do. Let's now talk to Bree in Niceville, Florida. Hi there, Bree. Thank you for calling into New Life Live today.
Hi, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, Niceville. That just sounds like such a nice place to live.
It is actually. There's an Air Force base here, and it's very supportive. And we're just right above Destin, so that's a beautiful place to be.
Have to check that out.
So I never get a text from you guys. I've been giving for many years and listened when my children were younger, but happened to get a text about a half hour ago, and I thought, wow, maybe I should ask for help. I know there's no coincidence.
Nope.
So I'm a caregiver to my 25-year-old nonverbal autistic son, as well as my 92-year-old grandmother who is deaf. And so I've often been very anxious about what's going to happen when something happens to me and my husband after we're gone. He had a heart attack and a triple bypass a couple of months back, and it really set my son in a tailspin. And, of course, we can't answer things for him. So it causes anxiety for me accessing that, worry for him, but then also I often think of, and I thought it was in First Peter, but I was looking before, and it's actually, some of it is in Mark, but, Father, I believe, but help my unbelief, so coming from growing up Catholic, I just felt like it was works, there was nothing I could do, but, I just had to try my best, and I know now that that's not what it's about, but at the same time, I don't feel like I'm ever doing enough to show God, I trust you, because my anxiety says different.
Because your anxiety says different? Is that what you said?
Yeah. In other words, it causes doubt, and then I feel bad because I'm like, I know you got it, God, and then I take it back. Again, try to control.
I thought I was the only one that did that, but I guess not.
So you're feeling.
I do know I'm not alone.
So you're feeling guilty over your anxiety, and you're feeling like that's you not trusting.
I do feel like that, yes.
Yeah.
And maybe preventing, because it's some of the things that it says in the Bible are that, maybe our unbelief keeps us from things. I've seen things that talk about him not doing miracles because of unbelief. And, I don't really know.
So what's your question for us, Bree?
Just how to manage that. I see a therapist once a week, and, talk therapy has been great to undo some of my childhood trauma. I was sexually abused as a child, and many difficulties. Don't know my father. Everybody's got something. I feel like, so I don't mean to complain, but I think that does shape my not trusting that he would be, cared for and not abused after I'm gone. That makes any sense.
You've got so much on your plate here, Bree. So there's a lot that you are taking care of, and there's a lot to be concerned about, and worry can be natural. Anxiety is about an unknown future outcome, and anxiety is a human condition. Jesus was fully human, and in the Garden of Gethsemane, right before he went to his death, he had anxiety to an extreme degree where he sweat blood. He asked his Peter, James, and John, stay awake, pray with me. He even asked the Heavenly Father, take this away if this is possible. So anxiety is a human condition. And I don't necessarily think, and hopefully this frees you from this type of thinking, that means it's unbelief or not trusting. Jesus, what did he do in the end? He said, but, not my will, but your will be done. And he continued to walk in in faith here. So I don't think you having anxiety means that you're not a good enough Christian or you're not trusting enough. I think it's just a normal, natural thing to experience. Now, we don't want anxiety, having said all that, we don't want anxiety to control our lives, because anxiety also has a physical effect on us. And so learning how to manage that can be helpful. And you've also had stressful experiences in your life, being abused. And so I think, I don't know if you've done any structured help. Have you done any structured therapy with learning, learning how to process through what happened to you, or are you even involved in support groups?
So I was court-ordered when I was 15 to go to therapies, and I have on and off throughout our career. It's been difficult acclimating every time we were stationed somewhere, having to tell my story again, and then maybe therapists that I didn't connect with. I just kind of kept just stripping those wounds out every 3-4 years when we were, but now, and I think when you were talking, I think what I'm probably feeling guilty about is the fact that I have to take medicine, and I know that it's there and it does help, but different times I've had to, take things that didn't work and try different things, and I felt like I don't want to take something that's going to alter me caring for my son, but at the same time I know I need some relief. And then, is that something that, I'm chemically dependent on that sometimes, that I don't know. I didn't think about that until you said, it being managed and not just therapy is helping at this point. So,
yeah, so there's some kind of guilt that you've got here for that's associated with, you needing help yourself, I think. And obviously you're helping other people out, but you feel bad when you need to help or you're not completely relying on God. I think it's, caregiver burnout is real. And so we all need support, and again, I don't think medication is wrong. If I have a headache, I'm taking Tylenol. I'm taking something to help help relieve that pain, and that's okay. I think, again, that's a human need and a human drive to want to relieve pain, but we need to learn how do we do that in a healthy way. And if you're more settled now in the community that you're in, I would suggest finding a therapist who you can connect with and maybe have a longer term relationship with, and then also support groups for other people who are in a similar position to you. I think as you find support with one another in community, that helps you continue on, because this is an ongoing challenge that you're facing. Alice?
And I hope you'll evaluate how much you're caring for other people and whether you're overextended beyond your means, your emotional means, physical means, possibly financial means. Because when we're spread too thin, all right, you know it. When we're spread too thin, it sets us up for more anxiety. I'd also have you consider EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, to get to the root of some of those beliefs because of the sexual abuse you went through. And then planning for your son's future, and perhaps even appointing the conservator who will take over if something happens to you and your husband.
We'll be right back.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
All right, Bree, we're going to send you a copy of the Emotional Freedom Workbook from the newlife.com store just for calling New Life Live today. Thank you so much. 1-800-229-3000 is our number. This hour is almost done, but we're going to be in the studio for another hour, so keep those calls a-coming at 1-800-229-3000. Let's now talk to Maria in Detroit, Michigan, who's listening to us on Sirius XM, Channel 131. Hello, Maria. Welcome to New Life Live.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, what's going on? How can we help you?
It's a long story, but I kind of got my thoughts together. My best friend had emergency brain surgery on August 10th. And I was a heavy drinker prior to that. And I am a Christian. Have been so most of my life, but he surely has my attention now.
Because of what your friend went through.
And is going through presently.
Yeah.
I'm 62. She's been my best friend for half of my life. And so I wanted to be present and probably took too much control in the beginning of trying to help everybody. She had 2 kids, 2 parents, new grandson, schedules. I didn't want Debbie to be alone at any second during her hospital stays, transfers, etc. So I was drinking pretty heavily. I'm a process server. I work up to 80 hours a week. I'm pulled off to the side of the road right now because I would like a Christian perspective prior to going back Wednesday to hear someone who misdiagnosed me. So I was having the hallucinations. I was paranoid. Because I was drinking probably 6 drinks a day, which consisted of vodka and then White Claw.
Okay.
And my excuse was to get through the day.
Alice?
And you were given a diagnosis based on the hallucinations and paranoia, and you don't think it's accurate?
Oh, I know it's not accurate.
What did they diagnose?
They thought I was bipolar and schizophrenic like my mother was. And when I went and I was hospitalized in a mental institute for 7 days.
Just recently?
Yeah, I just got out last Friday.
Okay.
So if you disagree with the diagnosis, there are some steps to take, because I'm sure that impacts your life. Those are significant diagnoses to have. And I don't think we can accurately diagnose without at least 30 days of sobriety, because as I think you're pointing out, the alcohol use had to do with the symptoms that looked like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. And so...
Yeah, but it is past 30 days. I stopped drinking on August 10th, And today is August 29th.
So if you've been completely sober, then I would set up another appointment with a clinician, perhaps somebody else. Get a secondary opinion, laying out the diagnosis you received, why you disagree with it, and then as you present now in your sobriety, you'll be different in your presentation. And so you'll have to face two possibilities. One, it clears up these diagnoses. They're not accurate when you're sober. Two, you may have had underlying mental illness that both exacerbated your drinking and also was worsened because of your drinking. And we can't know which one of those will be the result. So this is risky and scary to go back in for a further diagnosis. But that, as I see it, that's the way to get this cleared up.
Yeah, Marie, I want to ask you a question. Do you have a willingness to face reality?
Do I say that again?
Do you have a willingness to face reality?
Absolutely. There's been no hallucination. There's no paranoid feelings. I do have, I've been on those meds for too long. I live a very professional life. I've worked since I was 16, even for a psychiatrist for 35 years. I've been to individual and group psychotherapy. I know what fantasy is. I know what reality is, and I'm not having those thoughts.
And when I say willingness to face reality, you don't necessarily have to be in fantasy to not face reality. Many people don't face reality and they're not hallucinating or having paranoia. I think the reason why I ask that is I think if you go in with an openness to hear what someone has to say, and then also ask them, can you help explain to me how you got to this diagnosis? Because, people are diagnosing out of something called the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Disorders, right? And they list the symptoms in there. And so sometimes when you can see the symptoms listed out, or someone can list them for you, it starts to make sense of something. But the challenge that I would say to you is that, drinking 6 drinks a day to get through. And you had said, I was telling myself I was doing this, because I needed to get through work. And that could have been true to a certain extent, but there's probably something else underneath too, because it's a way you've defaulted to manage stress. And, and that's addiction. And when we get into addiction, we do have an unwillingness to see reality, which is what keeps us in addiction. Often in addiction, there's a phrase that we use, it's called the lies that we tell ourselves, and that's how we keep ourselves stuck. And so that's where the genesis of my question is coming from. But I agree with Alice. I think if you go in there with that openness to see, and then ask them what the treatment plan could be, and I think if you're getting a second opinion and 2 people are aligning, it's much more likely that is accurate.
Okay, so go to somebody else, not the original person. My internist, did I tell you that, or the lady?
No, you didn't.
Agrees with you. So my internist agrees with my...
with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's confusing.
I've known
Yeah.
And I'm pretty clear that it was alcohol poisoning. But whether I need... talk, like when the psychiatrist told me, and it was a nurse that gave me the Respirol, when he said, "Oh, Jesus brought you here, and guess what? I'm going to take care of you," and then he put me on the same meds along with Respirol.
A lot of confusing factors here. Another way to get more accuracy is to have a brain scan done. And our friend Dr. 𝙇𝙞𝙀𝙀 has the Amen clinics, and they actually look at your brain, how it's functioning, and how the alcohol has affected your brain, and then what to do to get back as much brain health as possible. So there are a lot of answers here, a lot of possibilities, Maria, of getting healthier and getting clarity about your diagnosis.
But I appreciate that you want to get the right diagnosis, because whatever we misdiagnose, we mistreat. So I think it's really important that you advocate for yourself to get an accurate diagnosis.
All right, Maria, just for calling in today, we're going to send you something from the newlife.com store, so stay right where you are. Don't hang up. And we're going to be in the studio for another hour today, so keep those calls coming, 1-800-229-3000. If you're on hold already, we'll get to you guys first, but we want to talk to as many people as we can here on New Life Live. We've got Marc Cameron and Dr. Alice Benton here ready to help you if you're ready to call in and talk about what it is that you're going through. It may not be easy, but we can ask you those questions that will kind of help you get it out, and we can assist you further. But call in. We'd love to hear from you. 1-800-229-3000.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.